Let's be real about Peacocks.
Peacocks. We're marching down the field. Peacocks.
Peacocks.
There we go.
There we go.
That's what I was trying to share.
It is.
Mhm.
Peacocks. On your feet, boys. Peacocks. We're marching down the field. Peacocks. And we refuse to get no one stopper. Because we are the Peacocks.
We are the Peacocks of ULA.
That's hilarious. That's
Nice.
hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the original.
Shout out to the OGs.
The OG.
And shout out to the Peacock Network for giving us Bel Air as well.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Mhm.
And the plane, I got that.
And The Office.
And even though it's tough to navigate, WWE, all the WWE's content. So shout out to Peacock.
Let's go and move on back to the court and Memphis Tigers basketball.
Yes, sir. So Memphis Tiger basketball has come to an end. It's been a very up and down roller coaster type season. The Memphis Tigers basketball season did end on last week, as they were handed an L by the refs. I mean, the Gonzaga Bulldogs last week in the round of 32. So I guess just want to get from y'all's perspective. How did the season go? Yeah, let's just go with that. Just how did in your perspective or your terms, like how did the season go? And as we transition into the players being in the transfer portal, who's leaving, who's coming, any players in particular that you would like to stay for them to make maybe a deeper run in the NCAA tournament. So with that being said, let's go in the order of let's go Sheedy, let's go Trevor, let's go Cap, let's go Toot, and then let's go me.
I'll speak more heavily on the season itself than the players. And we talked about this on the show before. Before the season began, and we knew the recruiting class that Penny had received, along with the coaching updates as well, with Larry Brown and Rasheed Wallace, even though Rasheed Wallace became more of a virtual coach, so to speak. We saw nothing less than, and I would say, I'll speak for myself, nothing less than Elite Eight type of talent from them. And not only should they be winning their division, their conference, they should be contending it to be possibly in the Final Four, but at least Elite Eight status. As their season progressed through those first, I believe I talked about this last time, about first 10 games, I think they were like 500 ball around that time. And they were just losing to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. And it is like they were giving up on themselves and not knowing who they were. And so last time I talked about this, I said something happened in January 1st. We all know what happened, right? But from January 1st on, their winning percentage almost doubled, so to speak, over that amount of time. Not winning percentage, but wins doubled. And this team started to realize who they were and how great they can be and are, instead of potentially thinking how good they can be. And so we saw what that looked like after January, going all the way through into the tournament. Their last game of the season in regards to losing to Gonzaga was what I call a winnable game. Unfortunately, there's no column that says that wins and losses. There's also not a column there that says refs blew it, because we know that. But I'm also a component of a person that says, hey, listen, you cannot blame the refs for everything, right? You at the end of the day, the refs don't play the game, you play the game. They do kind of challenge you on how to play the game. So for instance, when you got a lot of foul calls, especially in the beginning of the second half, you have to sit people, or you have to watch how you play defense as well. And I think that hurt that with Duren and Williams getting those earlier fouls within the second half, hurt their mindset of how to play defense. If those fouls are not called, or even called later on within the game, I don't think we're talking about Gonzaga losing to their next game. I think we're talking about Memphis proceeding on. And so, yes, it was put in the hands, but you also put yourself in that position with where you are. And that was a bad call. Defensively, progressing to next year, you build onto this. So last year, what was it? We won an NIT championship. Boom. So we couldn't do anything else in NIT this year because that would be a regression. So for us to now move to the field of 64 or 68, win a game and then lose to considerably the best team in the nation in Gonzaga means next year we need to be Sweet 16 or better. You cannot regress with this. And I believe Penny will get the talent that he needs and keep whatever talent he also does need to move forward with that. And I'll pass it on from there.
Well, overall for me with this season for the Tigers, I was looking to see if Penny could get the guys to basically play for one another. And that was one of the struggles that the Tigers had going into the season at the start. At Tashidi's point, we was looking at this team as possibly Elite Eight, possible Final Four, just based on the talent on this roster alone. But of course, we struggled out the gate, losing the teams we shouldn't have lost to. Of course, we all know what happened, which turned the season around for the Tigers. So for the Tigers to not only come within minutes of winning the AAC, to get to the big dance, to the tournament, win the game, and unfortunately lose to the Utah Jazz of college basketball, it shows wonders. So my challenge for Penny going forward now is you have a system in place. Can you go get the players that's going to buy into what you're trying to teach as far as a system systematically is concerned? And I think he's going to look to do that, because while he's still going to be recruiting for high school talent, I think he's really finna do his damage in the transfer portal, where I think he could actually get some guys that can actually fill some roles for the Tigers. We all know Jalen Duren is gone. Josh Minot just announced earlier this week that he'll be entering the draft. I would love for Emoni Bates to come back for a sophomore season, because I just feel that he's not going to benefit going anywhere else unless he comes back to Memphis. Landers, I'm hearing he may dip his toe just to see where he may fall in the draft, but I would love to see him come back as well. I just think the guys that should come back need to come back, and just run it back, fill in the gaps necessarily in the transfer portal or the recruiting, and we'll see what we can do. As far as for next season, I definitely expect at least a Sweet 16 appearance. Because anything less will just be another regression. So I'll pass it off.
Yep. It ended up turning out to be, I guess, from expectations adjusted throughout the season. So beginning of the season, technically it's a disappointment. But if you go about what happened throughout the season, it ended up being a pretty good season for us. It's been 4 years. You took the next step from winning the NIT to making the tournament and winning the tournament game. Yeah, the referees had a lot to do with it. I'm not going to act like they didn't, but Drew Timme still came out. I don't know what Drew Timme did at halftime, but he came out in the second half a different person than he was in the first half. Referees or not, he was different. So they had no answer for him in the second half. The commentators, I know we can't stand the commentators at times, but they were right. Penny should have called timeout when they were making those runs. And like he was saying, like, man, call timeout right here. And like he would wait until like the TV timeout. And they'd already the game went from being up 10 to down 2. Like you got to call timeout once they get to 4, right? Like at some point you got to calm your guys down. When Malcolm Andrews got tired, like he started walking up the court like he was fatigued, like call a timeout, because you got to get him off the court. So those little things like that he hasn't learned. But man, you was right there with the quote unquote best team who ended up losing the next week. Fell 1 week short by Memphis Arkansas matchup. Dang, that would have been nice old rivalry right there, especially with Penny playing against Arkansas back in the day. But man, nothing to complain about the season. Really good season. Off season, like Trevor said, he's definitely gonna go to the transfer portal. I don't think he has any commitments from like recruits, but I mean, he always get people late anyway. But he had 3 redshirted freshmen from this past season that's coming back. So same thing, roster turnover. Like I said before, he got to learn how to navigate through the non-conference in the beginning of the season, because I think next year our conference is even worse, if I'm not mistaken. It's Houston and them gone next season, or it's the season after next. It's next season. Yep, this season's coming up. So non-conference, they can't get off to the slow starts they've been getting off to. Or they can, but they can't lose. They can't lose when they get the conference play. Put it that way. You can't lose to East Carolina. You can't blow a 19-point lead at East Carolina. Bingo. So stuff like that. But I think they're on the right track. So hey, I'm excited for the future. Just keep grinding along.
Yeah, we definitely on the right track. Kudos to everything y'all just said. I don't have to, be the dead horse, but of course, coming into the season, we definitely had we definitely had high expectations based on the coaching that that we were able to get, based on the talent that we were able to get. Definitely high expectations. Started off the season like you said, Trevor, not playing with each other. Like we really need to see the Tigers really try to play ball with each other instead of really against each other. To be honest with you. And once they started doing it, especially when Penny started going off on the media, that was the turning point for the season, in my opinion. They did start balling together, and like this overall season, like we saw the real potential of the Tigers program. Like we get the Penny can't coach, and the rotations and the timeouts. We get that, but at the same time, we're still dealing with a relatively younger coach. Like this is his fourth season, coaching in the NCAA, and he's already won an NIT tournament and he's already been to the big dance. So really, just we got to keep the ball rolling. As far as who I would like to see back, honestly, I can't wait to see what kind of go-to player Lester Keonis turns into. It'll be his senior year. He will be having the ball a lot more, in my opinion. He'll have more opportunities to shine. As Savage called him an NBA player, I think all of us can agree to that. He's definitely an NBA type body. Once he continues to put the numbers behind him, I think he will, at least be a first round pick at least, especially if he have a good offseason. So him coming back, especially a money base coming back to, I think another season in college instead of going to the G League would do him justice, because you can still see the immaturity as a ball player in him with him just doing his own thing. But he did make a lot of clutch buckets in the tournament. So if he can, continue to mature his game, I think we can be seeing a potential lottery pick with him. And also one of the offers, Penny did offer a scholarship to Hansel Emmanuel. You know what I'm saying? If y'all not sure who he is, the one-arm player who is a damn good ball player. Of course, social media will love him, but I think he would look great in a Tigers uniform, and for a player who has a lot of potential to come to U of M and try to reach his full potential as far as being an NBA prospect, I think this will be a great move for not only him but for the Tigers program as well. So just really continue to push on the momentum that we got this season. Last year NIT, this year we lose top 32, next year Sweet 16. So just keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you guys have said already. As far as the game against Gonzaga, I try not to be one of those people that say, this is the lone reason why a team lost, or the refs are the reason to blame. I'm just going to say that I just wish the refs would allow them to play basketball. I get it. I get everything that comes with Gonzaga, and I get everything that comes with, the 1 versus 9 seed or something like that Memphis was. And Memphis jumped out to a really good lead. They jumped out to a really good half. And honestly, as Memphis fans, you knew Gonzaga was coming back. You just knew they were. But I'll always say games are a matter of runs. Who's going to make a run? When are they making the run? But also, can you swing back? And I feel like for the most part, Memphis, they did. They didn't fight back as they probably could have, but they did fight back. And I just wish that the refs just didn't allow them to play. I mean, again, it's just I don't want to put them. I don't want to put that all on them, because again, there was a point in time, I think Sharky mentioned it, like Malcolm Danchers was absolutely gassed, and that's when Gonzaga really made their run and really took the lead and really never looked back. So there was a time Penny could have made that adjustment. I also kept saying that instead of playing Malcolm, you could play Chandler, and so. Again, there are adjustments that Penny could have been that Penny could have made, but I just felt like Memphis just were in that second half. They just couldn't play the basketball that they had been playing all year. Until what you said, Sheedy, like you got to adjust. But at the end of the day, like for a team to not have a single foul call within 11 minutes of the second half, in my opinion, is just absolutely crazy. I'm sorry, there's just no way to justify that. So. It is what it is. It's an improvement from what last year was. Again, we talked about they won the NIT, and so the goal this year was to take a step further and make it to the NCAA tournament. In our opinion, at the beginning of the year, they had a roster of an Elite 18. They had a roster of a Sweet 16 team, and call it what it is. But if they don't play Gonzaga, in my opinion, they make it to the Sweet 16 at minimum, maybe into the Elite 8. So it is what it is. As far as what I'm looking forward to next season, I would really like Lester back. I think between Lester and Landers, one of them is leaving, if not both. I'll be really, really heartbroken if both leaves. But if I'm Penny, you definitely got to try to get one of them back. I honestly think DeAndre Williams is coming back. So there's that. Trevor, you already talked about Josh Minot. He's already declared, so he won't be coming back. We already know Jalen Duren isn't coming back. So what I just want, I'm not going to question Penny's recruiting because he can recruit his butt off. The one thing I need to see is, can you go get that point guard though? That's the thing that I want to see. Can you go get that point guard that, you say you want to model your team after the way that he ran Memphis when he was playing. So that's the big thing that I want to see. But I think, I think he has cards in his back pocket that he can pull. Their commits from LSU, Kentucky. I think I saw one from NC State, maybe, that players that almost committed to Memphis but didn't, and they took another route. And so because there has been coaching changes, there have been things within college basketball, they've now decommitted. And so maybe he can go and get one of those guys. So I'm excited for next season. Of course, I get my season tickets again for next season. I just want to be able to see, can you go get that point guard to run your offense very similar to what Alo can do, but maybe take that level of point guard play to the next level. So that's what I'm looking for. At the end of the day, I'm proud of the guys. I'm proud of Penny Hardaway and his staff. I really also want Larry Brown to come back because I feel like the turn in which what you talked about, Sheedy, is the turn in which they made to kind of make that run, in my opinion, was I won't say solely on Larry Brown, but he had a large imprint on that. So I would like for him to come back as well too. So great season to them, and I can't wait to see what next season looks like.
Is Rasheed Wallace still going to be coaching from the computer?
From the computer. I honestly don't know. But I will say, I still think he had some form. I think he had his handprint on the team in terms of, because again, you saw, I'm not sure if it was just them like making sure that Jalen Duren got the ball, but there was like a lot of, he had a bag that I didn't realize he had. Again, when they ran on the run, it was him being more aggressive in the post. It was him taking those mid-range jump shots, and I was like, dang, where did that come from? And again, they could have all been Jalen Duren, but I feel like in some form or fashion, Rasheed Wallace was, he had talks with Jalen Duren and DeAndre Williams, or he had conversations, or he was in some of those practices with the Memphis team, because the big man, in my honest opinion, they helped carry that team when they went on the run that they did.
Yeah, and to piggyback with that answer, what you're saying, Rasheed Wallace was one of those players that didn't necessarily command the ball, so to speak, all the time, but knew how to find or get the ball. And I think he tried to transcribe that into Jalen Duren and D. Will. But more like Duren's got this like huge athleticism, like out the gate. And as I said on the previous show, like if the offense isn't getting run through him, he doesn't care. He's going to go and grab that rebound and put it back up, or take the mid-range shot if he is open. Like, that's the type of player you need. He played more unselfish as a big man, because sometimes as a big man, speaking about it, if I'm running up and down the court and I'm not getting the ball, I might be lackadaisical with grabbing the rebound, right, on offense. But when I saw from Duren, especially in those last, I would say about 7 to 8 games, I didn't realize how much the offense doesn't go through him and how much he makes the offense come to him based upon his rebounding and his movement without the ball.
And DeAndre Williams, like his field goal percentage shot way up, compared to last season, to this season, from 50 to like 57%. And I think Rasheed Wallace, with his knowledge of the game, does help with that aspect. So any forward looking to go to the NBA, I mean, we got it all here. We got it all here. It's just a matter
shooting less threes helps too.
Mm-hmm. And playing against playing alongside a lottery pick that damn near commanded a double team every time he was on the floor. So I can see that as well too.
Turnovers help too, fellas. Turnovers
help too. God, if they can just get there right.
At least we're making free throws for the most part.
At least we're making free throws. Beggars can't be choosers too. I agree with you.
You know what, Ryan? I agree. I had the chance to see Chet Holmgren last year before he went to Gonzaga. I was not impressed. I was like, yeah, you get somebody.
Yeah, he giving me straight up Adam Morrison vibes.
Yeah, you get somebody that can put a body on him. It's a wrap. So believe it or not, that was also the game I saw Chet Holmgren. I saw Josh Minot, and I was like, yeah, Memphis getting somebody nice. So Yeah, Chet Holmgren ain't it, man. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Cool,
All
cool.
right.
And for those listening audio wise, Ryan Harris, my guy, he had made a comment. Chet Hungry and Sean Bradley with handles. In case y'all don't know what we were talking about.
He got time now. I will say that. I will say Chet Holmgren has time. He'll be in the draft next year where he has nothing but time to work on his game and being in the weight room. So you never know.
There you go.
All right. So if that's it, we'll transition to the NFL and everything that comes with that. That has been a soap opera within itself. So each member of the podcast today has been they've been given two divisions that they should focus on as far as who within that division won free agency, who within that division lost in free agency. So there have been a lot of moves. There have been a lot of money being spent. So we'll all go through that, and I'll just kind of talk through each one of y'all's points and talking points like that. So let's switch this order up a little bit. So let's go with Took, Captain, Trevor, Sheedy. Yes, there you go. Because you've been a little quiet on the NFL takes lately. And then, like I said, I'll just hop in and out between them. So yeah. So winners and losers of each division that you guys have.
Losers from each division. All right. Well, you know me, man. I'm a hoops fan, so I talk hoops. But whenever I do get a chance to talk football, I try to talk a little something. If I was to choose a loser in the AFC East, honestly, it'll probably, I guess, really just be the Patriots because they really ain't done a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can just leave it at that for right there. Keep it smooth and simple. And we can literally say that for the NFC East, everybody there. If I was to choose a loser for there, it'd probably be shit. I guess Washington, based on the fact that they chose that sorry ass name and they still rolling with Carson Wentz as a quarterback. I mean, if I was to say a loser in that, like literally, like I don't even think I guess going to the winner later, but if I had to choose a loser, it'll be the Commanders for the NFC East and the Patriots for the AFC East. Like teams ain't done too much.
Who are your winners?
Okay, I thought we were going back to another. Okay, cool. So I guess for the NFC East, nobody. Ain't nobody done shit. Ain't nobody done a damn thing.
That's hilarious.
I mean, if I was like, because I have to get a winner for our listeners. Of course, if I was,
the Bills, man, the Bills.
No, I mean NFC.
No, he said NFC.
Okay, I think he said AFC.
Trust me, I got some smoke on for AFC. NFC. If I was to choose, it'd have to be the Eagles, based on the fact that I did see Hassan Reddick do his thing last season with the Panthers. That was a great signing for them. So I definitely don't like the fact that he's not coming back with us, but it is what it is. But as far as the AFC East, y'all know one of the commandments for let's be real is the best ability is availability. A lot of people would say the Dolphins definitely won this, and I kind of agree. But once I dug a little bit further into the signings, they got ESPN top-ranked player Terran Armstead, offensive tackle, but he's missed 30 games in the past couple seasons. They got Chase Edmonds and Rasheem Mustard. They were 30th in rushing. Rasheem Mustard haven't been on the field that much. You know what I'm saying? And then they got Connor Williams, who's a guard, who's the most penalized guard in the league. They got Cheetah. Cheetahs win sometimes, but they still got Tua throwing the damn ball. And outside of Tua, who stays injured, they got Teddy Bridgewater, who ain't gonna throw the damn ball down the field. So it's like a whole bunch of things just ready to either click or ready to go down. So I just had to stay home with the Bills, y'all. The Bills, they signed Von Miller. Hefty contract for sure, but if they do, I guess, try to take that next step forward and winning the Super Bowl, he's worth every dime. They got Shaq Lawson back, who is a big presence in the locker room. They got DeQuan Jones. They got Jamison Crowder from the Jets, who led the Jets in receptions the last 3 seasons as well. So, I mean, O.J. Howard as well, tight end O.J. Howard. So they got some pieces for the Bills who play. You know what I'm saying? It's outside of the Dolphins, who signed big players who may or may not play. So, I mean, that's kind of where I went with it. My winners will be the Bills.
Yep. No, I think you pointed out some really good points, especially as far as the NFC East is concerned. I think everybody else decided or knew when free agency started, except the NFC East. So I get your point on there. And then as far as the AFC East is concerned, really good points. That Dolphins trade for Tariq Hill literally came out of nowhere. I didn't see that, but I will say if I had to choose a winner for the AFC East, then I'll let Sharky go. But you just have to give it to the Dolphins for everything that they did. Hear everything you said about Teron Armstead and getting Tariq Hill, and then they also got Seth Wilson from the Cowboys as well too. So I think what they're going to do is very similar. They're going to run an offense very similar to what, in my opinion, what the San Francisco 49ers did.
West Coast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so especially the head coach that they just came from San Francisco. So I think they'll be good. But I think, as people want to, not mention it, there's a lot of pressure on Tua. I'm sorry to tell you, there's no way you make the moves that you make, spend the money that you spent in free agency, and not have to say, at this point, it's on the quarterback. You have the defense that the Dolphins has had over the past couple of years. You have the weapons that they just signed on offense this year. At this point, we just got to find out if it's the quarterback or not. So it'll be interesting. But again, to your point, the Buffalo Bills did have a really, really good offseason. Devon Miller signing was huge, and then they made some splashes. I won't say splashes, but they made some signings that were very underrated or low key. But I think they'll pay dividends when the season gets here. So good points. Sharky, you up next.
Yeah, great research right there too. You did great research. Like, that was really good one. But well, I guess I'll start with the AFC North. Honestly, to me, there really ain't no loser, but I give it to I guess because we separate free agency draft, so it's free agency only. We ain't got to the draft yet. I guess I say it's a tie. I guess I say it's Pittsburgh, but in my opinion, because y'all didn't address the quarterback position, but also y'all signed. Yeah, that's not addressing it to me, but y'all signed Mitchell Trubisky. But then again, what options did you have? Like, I guess y'all didn't put y'all name in the Deshaun Watson race, so that's why I'm really more so giving y'all. But I don't know if he would have, what if he decided not to go to Pittsburgh? So it's just, I think y'all made some good moves. Y'all did sign Miles Jack. That's a really good move to help y'all linebacker core, get y'all defense up and running. I had the Ravens kind of as a tie with y'all's L, but I realized they signed Marcus Williams from the Saints and Michael Pierce, so they kind of beefed up their defense even more as well. But same thing with y'all quarterback, they didn't really address weapons for Lamar Jackson. They didn't get no receivers. But that's what the draft is for. Y'all might draft a quarterback. The Raiders might draft a receiver. So it's kind of just like a nip and tuck there. And the winner, I say it's between Cincinnati and Cleveland, but I give it to Cincinnati. They addressed their biggest need, literally. They signed 3 linemen. And I mean, that's exactly what they need. I can't think of the lineman. I just had it up. I can't think. Never mind. I got the lineman's name. Like, where I know Larry Collins, but Ted Karras and Alice Capel. And they also signed Hayden Hurst because they lost CJ Uzomah. So they replaced him with Hayden Hurst, who's a very good target. So I give me Cincinnati over Cleveland. Cleveland really just made the trade for Deshaun, and Deshaun is going to get suspended. We'll probably get suspended some games. So that'd be my choice. Reason I choose Cincinnati over Cleveland for this season. But like I said, really, in my opinion, loser in that division, a draft makes up for a lot. A lot of people don't do stuff for agency because they try and sell for the draft anyway. So really no true loser in that division to me. As for the West, really the Rams won it to me in a landslide, just the simple fact that they extended Matthew Stafford and signed Allen Robinson and gave the Titans Robert Woods for pretty cheap and took out his roster bonus while giving to us as well. So shout out to the Rams, man. They went automatically in my book. The other teams in the division, I don't know what they did. 49ers still haven't traded Jimmy G. The Seahawks traded Russell Wilson. So they're rebuilding. So I wouldn't necessarily put them as a loser because they're doing what they're trying to do. The Cardinals ain't done. I don't know what they done, bro. I ain't heard nothing about the Cardinals. So give me between the Cardinals. I wouldn't say the Seahawks are lose because they are trying to lose. Cardinals, 49ers. Both of them.
You say they trying to lose, bro?
It's gotta be this. It's gotta be.
They're rebuilding, yeah. Oh, like 49ers and Cardinals, though. I don't know what the folks doing. Man, I don't know, man. Give me a tap both of them for losses.
Gotcha. If you got to give an L to somebody, I'll go with the Cardinals because they still haven't addressed the Kyler Murray situation. Now, granted, he's definitely come all the way down from where he was a couple of weeks ago. He was like, I want my extension. I want to win with the Cardinals, and they haven't done anything. And then out of nowhere, like he's now uploading his pictures again, with the Cardinals and stuff like that. So, and I still think I will say, as far as the 49ers are concerned, they haven't traded Jimmy G, and I've been reading it just because they haven't heard a trade package that they would like, which if I were them, I'd probably still keep him for now. I wouldn't move him until I would probably go in with the mindset that is going to be your QB1 for next season. But if he gets hurt, if he's not there yet, then you still have Jimmy G, who has carried them to 2 deep runs in the playoffs so far. So I agree with you on that one. And then you had what other division again? I'm sorry.
Your division.
Oh yeah, the AFC North. That one. I would say that one was a tough one because at the end of the day, Cincinnati did what needed to be done. Which if they did anything else but go, do anything outside of the offensive line, people would have been looking like, what the world are y'all doing? So that signing for Alex Cappa, who the lineman from the is top tier. That's a really really good signing for them. So I definitely think that they won in the AFC North. Trevor, you up next, man.
All right, what's good? What's good? I will start with the NFC South. It was a tie for a while for winners between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. But Thomas decided to say bye-bye to his kids and Giselle and decided to make his way back. So the clear winner for the NFC South is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not only do you get Tom Brady back, you re-sign Chris Godwin with the franchise tag, you pretty much keep this entire team intact. So for now, I will say that because there are rumors, and I don't think they're true because it hasn't come from Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, but there are rumors that Tom Brady is possibly trying to facilitate a trade to the Miami Dolphins. So stay tuned to that. I don't think it's true, but if it gains some traction, be on the lookout. But for right now, the clear winner of the NFC South is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, close second will be the Carolina Panthers. While they still don't have a quarterback, they did make some pretty nice moves in the offseason, making addition to their defense and their offensive line. Hopefully, by the time the draft comes around, they'll address their quarterback situation. As far as the loser in the NFC South, it's clear. It's the Atlanta Falcons. You were basically, along with the Saints, were the 2 finalists to land Deshaun Watson in a trade. And for you to not pull the trigger at all on that deal, I'm sorry. It's just, and then the moves you made didn't make any noise. You finally got rid of Matt Ryan, so now you don't have a quarterback at this point in juncture. You don't know what you're going to do at quarterback. So clearly for the NFC South, it has to be the Atlanta Falcons as your loser. Shifting things over to the AFC West. A winner for the AFC West, I would definitely say the Denver Broncos. They were one of those teams last season. They were like very, very talented. They still, I think, went like 9-8 and barely missed the playoffs. The only thing they were missing was a quarterback, and they got their quarterback in Russell Wilson in the trade. Granted, they lost their tight end Noah Fant and Drew Lock, who was trash. Let's just be honest. Gaining Russell Wilson just kind of makes things a little bit better, makes things a little bit more competitive in the AFC West, and also signing Randy Gregory from the Cowboys as well to help beef up that defense. Basically signing him as Von Miller's replacement, if you want to just be frank there. So definitely would give a winner for the AFC West to the Denver Broncos. Now, for my loser is actually going to be surprising, and my loser for the AFC West is the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, obviously they traded away Tyreek Hill in the deal with the Dolphins, but they still have some offensive line issues, and everybody in the AFC West got some form of a pass rusher this offseason. The Raiders resigned Max Crosby. Yeah, 1 or 2. Thank you, Sheedy. Yeah, the Raiders resigned Max Crosby to a big deal. The Chargers traded for Khalil Mack.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah, and as well as Chandler Jones. Thank you.
Raiders.
Yeah, as well as
Yep.
Chandler Jones with the Raiders as well. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, Randy Gregory just signed with the Denver Broncos. So, yeah, the Chiefs' offensive line still is a little shaky, been shaky. Of course, they traded away their best receiver, and now they're hoping that Juju can develop into that number one. But I've seen Juju enough to say that he's not a number one receiver. He's a strong two, but he's not going to be that go-to guy for you for the Chiefs. So losers for the AFC West, unfortunately, right now is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, they trying to knock Mahomes' head off next year.
Very, very fortunately. Very fortunately. Not unfortunately. Very fortunately.
Yeah, and I would say, Trevor, you probably had one of the hardest winners to pick because out of that division, like I think every team minus the Chiefs, what you just said, literally got better. And so whether it was the Broncos, whether it was the Chargers, whether it was the Raiders, who out of nowhere got Devontae Adams, I think that division is going to be absolutely hell. So good luck to Pat Mahomes. Good luck to really everybody. Go ahead.
Nelson Ryan told Juju is number one TikTok. Hey, he in competition with I guess apparently what's the man's name? Jackson Mahomes, Pat Mahomes' brother.
Well, they collaboration is gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Just another that division is going to be crazy, and I'm just as competitive as I think the AFC North is. Here comes the AFC West. Like, no, we got something to say. So it'll be interesting to see how many teams or what teams win that division, or how many teams get into the playoffs for that division. So tough one for you, Trevor. And then Sheedy.
Yeah. And this is no disrespect to Cap. But Skyler, you gave me two of the worst divisions in the NFL. And I'll start with the NFC North. To me, when I think about the NFC North last season, right? I believe that there were 4 players in the NFC North that were in the top 4 to 6 in their position, depending upon who they are. And of those 4 players, only one is still on their same team. Those 4 players: Aaron Rodgers, Devonta Adams, Khalil Mack, Zadarius Smith. All of these for the Chiefs. The reason why the Chiefs had to get rid of Tyreek Hill is because they sound a lot of money for Patrick Mahomes. Where did all this guarantee money start from? Oh, his name is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is killing the NFL with his signing. So, anyways, I digress. A winner and loser for the NFC North. To me, the loser of the NFC North is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers did not get better at all. They lost their best wide receiver in the league, and they lost one of the best defensive players within the league that no one talks about in Z Smith. So to me, this team got worse. Now, you got the Lions, the Bears. The team that got the best was, to me, the Vikings out of the NFC North. Look to see who they got. Z Smith. So they took from the Packers, got Z Smith, and they've addressed a few other things, of course, as well. We, not saying that we forget, but they also didn't have their best 2 wide receivers going down the stretch, and Dalvin Cook as well. Now, am I saying that they're going to win the NFC North? No, that's not what I'm saying. We're asking who had the best free agency thus far. And to me, out of this division, you're damn sure ain't going to pick the Lions. The Bears have done absolutely nothing. No disrespect again to you, Cap, big Cap, your dad, because I think he's the Bears fan. But those are the 2 teams, and they did terrible. Packers went down, Vikings went up. Again, I'm not saying that they're going to win the division, but that's where it's at. Then you had the audacity and the gall, Skyler, to give me the AFC South. Now, the AFC South.
Hey, put some respect on Jacksonville.
Jacksonville Jaguars are actually my winners from free agency. Hate it or love it, when you look at what free agent signings and who got better or worse, you have to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. To me, they're helping Trevor Lawrence potentially down the road and be in a better position. The losers to me, the AFC South, are the Titans. I don't think the Titans have done enough to keep up with where they're going. You lost Julio Jones, but I don't really think y'all even cared about Julio Jones, to be honest with you. But this is a team that for year after year after year is there, but have not signed anyone to me to take them to the next level. And they are a team that I hope does not regress because of that. I actually think they'll still win the division. But again, it's about the free agent signings. To me, I don't think Matt Ryan really moves the needle for y'all. Yeah. And you're right. You know, they also gave, who was it? The Giants gave some other receiver a whole bunch of money last year. And look where they ended up. And so to me, the Titans are the losers of the AFC South. Again, does that mean that they're going to lose the AFC South? No. I still think they are more talented than any other team. It's about the free agent signings. And to me, again, Jacksonville Jaguars have done the best this offseason thus far in regards to free agent signings.
No, good ones. I think if you're going to look at Jacksonville, you had no choice but to get better, right? I think looking at the 53-man roster and like who they have from top to bottom, you're just like, damn, like no matter if they gave Christian Kirk too much money, no matter if they grabbed a free agent from whomever, it was better than what they had last year. So I think you bringing that up was good. And then as far as who won for the NFC North, I think somebody mentioned it, but the Green Bay Packers won and lost that one. But it's just there's no like Green Bay, in my opinion. Like it's the two quarterbacks that we have in our top 5 quarterbacks every single year are now without weapons that makes you question, like, okay, now let's see how good they are. We know how good Aaron Rodgers is. We know how good Patrick Mahomes is. But this is the first year we've seen Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams. This is the first year we've seen Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill. So I'm not going to question their ability, but we're going to see how well that connection was with those receivers. How well are they going to be able to make everybody else around them that much better without having that number one receiver? So it'll be very, very interesting. I wouldn't necessarily like just pencil in Green Bay to win the NFC North, but them losing Devontae Adams, them having Aaron Rodgers have this mindset of I'm gonna make how much money I want to make, and I could care less who gets paid. He might not ever come out and say that, but that's exactly how it comes off. So it'll be interesting to see. So I can't wait. Everybody, y'all did a really, really good job. Go ahead, too.
No, I was just about to say, man, we blame Kirk Cousins for setting the quarterback mark, and what really we should be looking at who Christian Kirk's agent is be giving him a high five. Just want to put it out there.
Gotta be. I can't wait till I give me an agent like one of them. I want to go into my employer and be like, hey, my agent says I need this amount of money. If we ain't getting this money, I'm walking. My employer will be like, all right, that's fine. Go ahead, Sharky.
Also, another thing, money. A lot of reason free agency is hard to judge is because you don't know salary caps between each team. So, like, with choosing Titans as a loser, we ain't got no money to really sign nobody. Same thing. We kind of like Dallas, where we was got rid of Julio, had to get rid of Mark Cooper. Same thing. So
yeah.
And just because you're a loser don't mean, like I said, you won't be competing for the division, or you're a winner, you'll still win 4 games. Like right,
exactly.
Yeah. So now, and to close this out, I think one of y'all mentioned already, but at the end of the day, free agency is one thing. The draft is a whole different thing. So it may be because the Steelers didn't adjust their quarterback in free agency, doesn't mean they won't address their quarterback in the draft. The Cowboys did almost absolutely nothing in free agency. But who's to say, they won't trade, a couple picks and then move up to go get X, Y, and Z player. Same thing with Carolina, same thing with Tennessee. So it'll be good to see. I think this is probably one of the most active. This has probably been one of the most best free agencies that we've had in the NFL in quite some time. And if you don't have Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport on subscription, you're losing out because stuff is coming out of nowhere. So great job on that segment, guys.
All right, let's transition over.
Cool. I actually had 2 topics for real talk, so I'm gonna just leave it at one, and then if we have time, I'll talk about the second one. But today's topic is just about transgender sports athletes. We'll say athletes at this point. And I'll say my piece, and I, of course, will pass it on, and we can just keep the same order that's on the screen to Shark, Trevor. Well, actually, we'll start with Skylar because I know time, and then swing around from there. The thing about, so unless you lived underneath a rock or you don't know, Leah Thomas is a transgender who just won, I think, the D1 title for swimming, I believe. And if you see the pictures, this person is standing by themselves with no one else on the podium for second or third because they did not agree with allowing a transgender to not only just compete, but win, right, so to speak. And so when I think about this topic, I dove really deep into this. So please bear with me and understand, sometimes school machidi, goes there with that. But first of all, there's a huge discrepancy that we still need to address as well with men and women athletes in totality. Brittany Griner, I think someone's name on here today is Brittany Griner, and how we are in no way, shape, or form have a president or anyone else going to go get her. But when Lonzo Ball, Lamelo, one of the Ball brothers got in trouble overseas, we was over there in the first flight. And so I think one thing first I would love for us to do is just first of all address that part. And the reason why I say that is because when women showed how great they were and talented they were, basketball, football, there were thus created leagues for them to play in. WNBA. There's a NFL like lingerie league that I don't watch because I don't want to get in trouble with my wife. But there are places for women to play. And so to me, if this is going to be an issue, so to speak, then let's go ahead and make a league for transgender. Now, before I pass on and go further, I will say that Dave Chappelle said one of the greatest things in his last skit that he did. If you haven't seen it, there's one piece that he talks about how us as African Americans, we're not upset at the LGBTQ community. We're just upset about how fast their rights are being done as opposed to what we have to go through, which lets you know that there is power within the LGBTQ community, which lets you know that if they truly wanted a league, I have no doubt that they can find a way to get this done for themselves. But you don't put, for instance, someone that is a paraplegic is not in the Olympics running against, I don't know, Shikari. They have their own separate Olympics for them. So at some point, I believe we just need to say, hey, listen, maybe they're not competing with us. Same way women did not compete with men back in the day. They just created their own league so that they can compete and still are fighting for their rights to be paid equally as they were trying to do this across the whole board. But the issue is, where do these now transgender athletes belong, so to speak? Do they belong with the men or the women? Do they belong with the sex that they began with, so to speak, or the sex that they are currently in? And that is one of the biggest issues. And I think that issue can be alleviated, I should say, eliminated, if a league was thus made for them. So again, that was my 2 cents really quickly. Skylar, Toot, Kat, Trevor, from there.
Hey, Scott, before you go, just wanted to throw out the picture that was taken. The 3 girls, they were actually teammates in the Tokyo Olympics, which is why they took that picture together. I don't want people to listen and be like, oh, they fed, spreading false. No, we're not doing that. That's why that picture was taken.
Yeah, for sure. This is, I know when I first heard about it, I was just like, dang, like I wouldn't even know exactly like how to feel if I'm call a spade a spade. If, let's just say Eva, was into swimming and Eva's performing at the top of her level, she's winning medals, she's winning awards, or whatever the case may be, and then here comes someone that's transitioning from one sex to another, and there is essentially some type of competitive advantage that they have. I will feel a certain type of way about it. Yes. So all I'm going to say is I agree wholeheartedly with Shidi. I just feel like there should be some separate league. There should be some separate Olympics or whatever the case may be for those who are in this, for those who are transitioning from one sex to another. So that way there's no competitive advantage from one over the other. That's all I'm going to say. Courage or kudos to the person or the individual that's going through this, for having the heart and having the courage to do that. I just wish that there was some type of playing field to say, if you're a man, you're performing in this. If you're a woman, you're performing in this. And then for those that are going through some type of transition, then here's your Olympics, here's your league, here's your sport that you can, do whatever you want to do. I'm just going to leave it at that.
So with me, it's like, because I actually was on the swim team my first 2-3 years in high school. And one of the biggest fears that I remember seeing was a 6-foot dude standing next to me as we were getting ready to compete in swimming, right? So with that being said, it's like, I want to say this. Because when Kaepernick took his kneel, it was a whole big thing as politics shouldn't be in sports. And literally the exact, come on, I was gonna go there, Sheedy. Literally the exact thing that's going on right now, it's literally what's going on with Leah Thomas, right? Leah Thomas, who went through puberty as a man, just like all of us, was able to compete not only in a collegiate sport, but in an Olympics against women. She won. There was, I don't care what nobody said, there was an advantage. A 6-foot man going against, 5-foot women in anything is an advantage, let alone swimming. That's crazy, right? So Leah Thomas, she took an opportunity from women who wake up every day early. Y'all know how crazy making a professional sport is, let alone an Olympics. So to say that there isn't an advantage is bullshit to me. You know what I'm saying? It's straight up cap. So the fact that the reason I asked the question is politics coming into it is because if any of the winners or any of their families were to say something negative about Leah Thomas, they probably would have faced some kind of repercussions from the university or from their team, which is bullcrap. It's the same thing Kaepernick literally just went through. Like with Scott, like how do you and you Sheedy, how do y'all talk to y'all daughters about a man coming into y'all competition and winning? And I know that transgender, I get it, whatever, but there should be some kind of rules and stipulation to say, hey, if you are able to give birth, you are considered to be my opinion, the way I was born, if you're able to give birth, you're a woman. You are able to, I guess, spread life or whatever, go through puberty, have hair in places wherever, you are classified as a male. And if you feel some kind of way that you should be in the middle, then damn it, the Olympics should have they have a Special Olympics. So they should make another form of Olympics so that the LGBTQ community can feel comfortable as well. Because what's going on now is that the LGBT community have more rights than women's rights, and they have more rights, what we're seeing, than black rights. It shouldn't be fair to see a man compete against a woman. I mean, that's just straight up as it is for me. So I think in order for them to get it right, they're gonna have to make some kind of separate league for them. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos everywhere. And you're literally telling a woman, what she is and what she isn't at this point. And, that's just not fair to me. That's not right to me. So I'm going to just leave it at that for right now.
First up, I want to give a shout out to Fat Boy Featherweight Sports. They're the reason I even thought of this topic. They talked about it on their last show. So be sure to check our guys out at Fat Boy Featherweight Sports on YouTube. They have an episode every Sunday. I tend to really disagree with everything that was said between Sheedy, Skylar, and Took. Like, there has to be. I know AP. He made a comment saying there aren't enough of transgender athletes to like form a league. But I mean, in a sense, that's what's going to have to happen because it's a competitive advantage. I mean, that's still a man. Ryan had made a comment, Joanna man. Like they got it. There's no way like you had this transgender woman man compete. I guess it's a man turned to a woman when it's still a man. He still got the strength of a man. Like when it boiled down to it, and kind of like Tuk said, like you were born it. If you want to identify as the other one, you just need. They already made special cases for transgenders and LGBTQ community anyway. So go ahead and make another exception, make some type of different, like I said, Special Olympics or something for them. Like that's really the only.
And to kind of go about what I forgot who said that, Sharky, about the point, that point, but it's like, I don't want to say so what to sound inconsiderate that the fact that there aren't any, LGBT, Q leagues or whatever, but one, the community is starting to come out more in sports anyway, right? And for two, we can make literally the same argument for women's sports. There aren't any viewerships, there aren't any dollars, the same case could be made. It's not too much difference that make y'all like why should y'all be all the way up here as far as like expectations and what y'all would receive when women are still trying to teeter their way up? I mean, it's not fair to me, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And that was down my point.
Okay. Well, for me, I kind of agree with what you all guys have said as far as possibly making a separate league, but the issue is these transgendered people, they want to be identified as the quote unquote gender that they are transitioning to. So that's number one. So if you're a transgender male, you want to be identified as a male and so forth and so forth. So that's already going to be an issue there. And they feel that they belong with said gender. So that's issue number one. The second issue is if you're going to establish this league, who gets to set the parameters of who is qualified, who isn't qualified, things of that nature. And even doing that, you're just reinforcing the fact that these transgender people have their own gender and they're not being identified as the gender that people want them to identify them as, which creates a whole nother problem. So it's kind of a gray area to be honest. It's like we don't necessarily know what to do in this whole situation. So it's kind of muddied to be honest. It's definitely gonna take some time. It's definitely gonna take some discussions and things of that nature on the whole thing. But in the end, man, it's like you guys said, the LGBT community has a lot of power, and I'm pretty sure they can make something happen with discussions and things of that nature. But right now, as far as them having their own league, I think that's just going to cause more problems than what they are intending to solve.
I don't even know if the conversation at this point really gonna help, bro. Like, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but if we gonna call a spade, and let's be real about it, it's like if shit ain't gonna go their way, then are they really gonna be willing to compromise? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm at with it as well.
And then also another thing, like who's to say that certain people, because to quote Dave Chappelle again with his previous special, not the last one, but the one before that, where he made the joke about the trans guy that just said, "Hey, I'm going to become a woman and make my best friend have sex with me." It was, kind of a joker type of thing. But who's to say that the motives of these people that are transitioning isn't that, or is just like you said, just to gain a competitive advantage? Like it's kind of hard to gauge because you don't know what's going on in everyone's mind. And it again goes back to who gets to set the parameters and who gets to set the guidelines on how this whole thing was to take place if a league was established. So it's just something that's just gonna happen from time to time, and it's just gonna take time before some real progress is made, unfortunately.
And my wife, shout out to my beautiful wife for tuning in. She made a comment or asked a question: are there any women who are transitioning into men that are competing in all men's sport? I don't think. I mean, do y'all know any that I know of? I didn't. I just learned about Leah Thomas.
I haven't heard of any, and I honestly believe that if one tried to do so, they're going to be ostracized like immediately, just because of the guidelines of all men's sports. So,
I mean, it's not even that. It's like you still like look at the fact when back in the day, like we got movies like Glory Road, for example. Like, so if you're gonna be one of the first to do something, get ready to receive the backlash. Like, if you're gonna be the first, you can't be sensitive with it. Like we saw how the players with Glory Road were treated, and they still won. Like you're gonna have to go through some shit if you're gonna be the first to try to do it.
Yeah,
do it. Just do it.
And to be honest, if for everyone else to have an issue with it that's in the same field, just work harder, just get better. I mean, it's really all that you can really say about that. I mean, it's really nothing else to really. I mean, it's gonna be there, but at the end of the day, you just have to try to work around it. That's really all that you can think about. So,
if I can help answering Mrs. Cap's question as well, along Mrs. Cap, and also transitioning to, I have another little quick real talk session that Tuke you actually brought up that you didn't even know that I was going to discuss. But anyways, just imagine this. And this guy said this before. Brian Scalabrine said he'll go and play basketball. He was in Boston at the time. He said people will make fun of him, but if they played him one-on-one, they would beat him. For instance, I'll talk all types of trash about Brian Scalabrine. He's trash. He's a bum. Get him out of here. But put him up one-on-one against me? Oh, he might win 21-0. He 21-0. So and also it's intimidating. You kind of brought that up too. Like you were swimming and then you saw someone that's yours. Then you saw a 6-footer about to jump in that pool with you and get his stroke on, right? And so to me, if Brian Scalabrine became a woman, right, and went through that process, we might be talking about a Michael Jordan or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the WNBA. And so to your point, Mrs. Cap, no, we don't see it happen. We see it happening more often with that transition as opposed to a woman transitioning to the men. And the last thing I want to say is the real talk part, and it's something I want to also talk about more or less on School of Mashidi. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. I'm dropping some knowledge. But it's a quick part about us versus us. And us versus us deals with Deshaun Watson and Colin Kaepernick. And the part I want to bring up is that Deshaun Watson is going to get paid the most guaranteed money of any person ever. He has not been, there's no charges on him. There's nothing to him. He has not been to jail, nothing. He didn't even throw a football last season. And he's going to have the chance and opportunity to play for the Cleveland Browns, whether it's this season, missing 6 games or not. He's still going to have a chance to not only play, but collect $230 million and not a penny less. On the other side, we have Colin Kaepernick, who was not in any allegations with women, did not beat up on a woman, did not leave a child in the car unattended to. He fought for social injustice and has been blackballed from the NFL. We all talked about the different divisions in the league right now, and you cannot tell me that any of the teams that we mentioned could not use a backup quarterback that has went to the Super Bowl to be there for you. The major difference is, you know me, I like to be real. The major difference is what certain colors of skin can get away with, others cannot. And they vote based upon that. And what I mean by that is the owners are doing these type of things as well behind the scenes. They're just not talking about it. Daniel Snyder, for instance, with messing with women, so to speak. And there's other ones that probably they don't say anything as women because they're probably getting some money on the side. Yeah. Vice versa, you don't see those owners stepping up for change as Colin Kaepernick did. And because they don't agree with what he did, he can't even get a look. You trying to tell me that Colin Kaepernick, no offense, ain't better than Sam Darnold? That's what you want to try to tell me? You trying to tell me this man don't deserve another chance in the league? You tell me he can't go play for the Seahawks right now? And at least not, if not be a starter, be a backup? That's us versus us. Coming soon on School of Mashidi. Sorry about that, fellas. It's my real talk segment. Thought I spew that in there.
I know it's a real talk segment, but I'm laughing because if he got a chance in the NFL, he could start for the Steelers right now. I'm just going to be honest for you. That's why I'm laughing. Because if Kevin Colbert or Mike Tomlin decided to bring in Colin Kaepernick, he will legit be the starter for the Steelers week 1. I guarantee it. That's why I'm laughing. So it's crazy.
That's a powerful statement right there, Ryan. This country praises troublemakers and frowns on people who want to make a change. Boy.
America.
It depends on
real talk.
Depends on the, how can I say, the severity of the crime and who's involved.
I don't even think it matters in the NFL shit. It don't even matter at this point.
Yeah, that is true. That is
as long as you ain't disrespecting the flag or the owners, you do whatever.
I ain't even disrespecting. No, it's disrespecting the shield. I'm done with the whole disrespecting the flag because
Oh,
That's
you're right.
that's a whole nother government conspiracy. Because remember, the NFL got paid a handsome amount of money from the U.S. Department of Defense to start
I mean,
playing the
flag
anthem during
shield,
football games.
tomato. Now that I think about it,
It's the shield. It's the shield. I
Well,
mean, they both red, white, and blue, but yeah, it's more so the shield.
Crippin'
More
blood.
so the NFL shield than the flag. I'm just gonna be real.
Absolutely. Gotta make people out there your God after this. Red, white, and blue.
yeah, white and blue.
Let's get it, man. Anybody got anything else?
Nah.
Cool,
Great
man.
episode,
And that's for this episode, man. Appreciate it. Shout out to everybody tuned in. Appreciate that still getting paid. Yep, that's true, AP. Man, shout out to AP. Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to my
Shout
wife.
out AP. Happy belated birthday, by the way, AP, because I know your birthday was earlier this week. So
Okay.
I text you, but from the
Belated,
podcast, happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday, my guy. March baby, just like me. Man, there's a lot of March birthdays, man.
It really is.
When I was growing up, there were no March birthdays. Mine next week. So, hey, it's been real, y'all. But till next time, peace.
Peace.